Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the story of a global icon, a name that really needs no introduction, Cristiano Ronaldo. But, this isn't just going to be about the goals or the trophies. This is a story about survival. It's about defying odds that were stacked so high against him, he almost didn't even get a chance to take his first breath.
All right, let's just get right into it, because it's the debate every single football fan has had probably a million times. Which version of Cristiano Ronaldo was the absolute best? Was it that explosive, step-over happy kid at Manchester United? The winger who was just unstoppable? Or maybe it's the goal-scoring machine at Real Madrid, the one who broke records just for fun? Or hey, what about the veteran leader we see now, still outscoring guys half his age? We've all got our favorite.
But here's the thing. The answer to that question, it kind of misses the whole point. His greatest achievement, his biggest win, it's not a Ballon d'Or. It's not a Champions League medal. His single greatest victory was surviving his own childhood. To really get the icon, you have to understand the impossible fight that made him.
So, our story doesn't start in some big, fancy stadium. It starts on the tiny Portuguese island of Madeira. This place is over 1,000 kilometers from the mainland. It's out there. And it's here, on February 5th, 1985, that Cristiano Ronaldo was born into a world that honestly gave him almost zero hope.
Look, this isn't just a list of tough breaks. This was his everyday life. His family was living in extreme poverty. His dad, a soldier, struggled with alcoholism. It was so bad that his mom, who already had 3 kids to feed, actually considered having an abortion. She just didn't see how they could afford another child. Young Cristiano would literally help his mom sweep the streets to earn a little money, all while sharing a single room with his siblings. And if all that wasn't enough, there was a ticking time bomb inside his chest.
So at 15 years old, right when his dream starts to feel real, he gets this diagnosis, tachycardia. It means his heart would just start racing, beating way, way too fast, even when he was resting. The news was just devastating. The one thing that was his ticket out, his escape from poverty, was about to be taken away. His club, Sporting Lisbon, made a huge call: surgery. Doctors used a laser to basically burn away the problem areas in his 15-year-old heart. And incredibly, just days later, he was back on the training pitch. Days.
And to really understand the journey, you gotta see this. Before the supercars and the mansions, his first ever transfer fee wasn't money. His club got 20 footballs and some new jerseys for him. Just a few years after that, he'd moved to Real Madrid for a world record 94 million euros. Think about that jump. From a bag of balls to the most expensive player in the history of the game. That right there, that's the story of his life.
After blowing everyone away in a friendly match, a teenage Ronaldo is whisked away to Manchester United. And this is where it all changes. This is where that raw, emotional kid from Madeira gets hammered and shaped into an absolute world-beating weapon. And the man holding the hammer? One of the greatest managers of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson.
When he first showed up in England in 2003, people thought he was too skinny, a show pony who just did tricks. His own teammates said he'd drive you up the wall because he'd just dribble and dribble. But Fergie saw something else. He was brutal with him, gave him the famous hairdryer treatment, screaming in his face, and even made him cry. But fast forward 5 years and look at the difference. The skinny kid was a physical monster. The show pony was a born winner. And he wasn't just full of potential anymore. He was, without a doubt, the best player on the entire planet.
And that relationship with Ferguson, it was way more than just a manager and a player. There was this one story where the veteran striker, Ruud van Nistelrooy, got so fed up with the young Ronaldo not crossing the ball that he just laid into him in training, brought the kid to tears. Well, Ferguson saw it, and for him, it was like someone had attacked his own son. He made a choice. He took Ronaldo's side, and eventually the world-class Dutch striker was out of the club. That's how much Ferguson believed in him, how much he was willing to protect that talent.
And this number is the result of all that faith. In the 2007-08 season, playing mostly out on the wing, Cristiano Ronaldo scored an absolutely insane 42 goals. He powered Manchester United to the Premier League and the Champions League, and he won his very first Ballon d'Or. This one number, it's the moment the transformation was complete. So after conquering England, Ronaldo makes the move he'd always dreamed of, a world record transfer to Real Madrid. He was now a Galactico, one of the biggest superstars on the planet, signed by the biggest club. And if he thought the pressure at United was high, oh boy, he had no idea what was coming. This wasn't just a transfer. This was the start of a whole new obsession.
And at the center of everything at Real Madrid was this one idea, La Decima. It means the 10th. See, Real Madrid, the most successful club in European history, had been stuck on 9 Champions League trophies for years.
and it became a total obsession for the entire club. The manager, Carlo Ancelotti, said as soon as he got there, it was the only thing people would talk about. Ronaldo lived and breathed that obsession, and in 2014, it was his goals that finally ended that agonizing wait.
And while La Decima was the team's obsession, his own numbers were just, well, they're staggering. 450 goals in just 438 games. Just think about that. That is more than a goal every single time he walked onto the field for 9 years. That's not a normal statistic. It basically cemented him as the greatest goal scorer in the legendary history of Real Madrid.
But here's the thing. You absolutely cannot talk about Ronaldo's prime without talking about the other guy. His move to Spain lit the fuse on the single greatest individual rivalry this sport has ever seen. For almost 10 years, Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi, it wasn't just a soccer match. It was a global event that made everybody, and I mean everybody, pick a side in the debate for the greatest of all time.
And you can see their whole rivalry perfectly in the race for the Ballon d'Or, football's biggest individual prize. So Ronaldo wins his first one in 2008. But then, by 2012, look at that. Messi has just stormed ahead, winning 4 in a row. It looked like the race was over. But Ronaldo, fueled by that rivalry, just clawed his way back, year after year, until finally, in 2017, he drew level at 5 apiece. That constant back and forth pushed them both to a level the game had just never seen before.
Now, if the Ballon d'Or was about who is the best individual player, the Champions League was the ultimate test. It was the biggest stage. And by the time Ronaldo left Madrid in 2018, he held a pretty big trump card in the debate. He had 5 Champions League winners' medals, including an unbelievable 3 in a row with Real Madrid. It was the one competition where he was the undisputed king. They even called him Mr. Champions League.
In the end, their whole battle, it was about so much more than stats and trophies. It was this clash of styles, of personalities. You had the powerful, obsessed, perfect athlete versus the quiet, natural, magical genius. For an entire decade, every goal, every game, every award was just another chapter in their epic story, a story that defined a whole generation of football.
So, after conquering Spain, most players would start to wind down, right? But Ronaldo is not most players. This final part of his career has just been this incredible display of longevity and pure defiance. He's faced new leagues, new challenges, heartbreaking personal tragedy, and the one opponent nobody ever beats, Father Time. And yet, somehow, he just keeps going.
I mean, this last stretch has been a whirlwind. In 2018, at 33 years old, he goes to Juventus and conquers Italy, becoming the first player ever to be top scorer in England, Spain, and Italy. Then came that emotional, but pretty chaotic return to Manchester United. It was during that second spell that he and his family endured the unimaginable pain of losing their newborn son. And then, in 2023, he shocked everyone again, leaving Europe behind to start a brand new chapter in Saudi Arabia. And for anybody out there who thought that move to Saudi Arabia was just him going off to retire, well, think about this. In the calendar year of 2023, at the age of 38, Cristiano Ronaldo scored 54 goals. That was more goals than anyone else in the entire world, more than Mbappe, more than Harry Kane, more than Erling Haaland, guys who are in their absolute prime. He just doesn't stop.
So, when you look back at this whole impossible story, from that little kid in poverty his mom couldn't afford, to the teenager with a heart defect, to the global icon who's been at the top for 2 decades, it leaves you with one last question, really. What's his ultimate legacy going to be? Is it the mountain of trophies and all the record-breaking goals? Or is it something you can't really measure? Is it just that sheer, relentless, almost inhuman will to overcome everything, to prove everyone wrong, and to simply never, ever stop?